Good evening, everyone. I am Barry Fuller, the Board 21 interpreter, and just recently returned from Trumbull, Connecticut, where IABLE held its fall seminar. I believe there were 17 presentations that were given there. Many of them were, outstanding, and it really made everybody in the room get involved, get the heads back into basketball again.
Are you happy with that?
Okay, unmute. Okay, so I'm unmuted again. All right.
I'm sorry, Barry. Someone came in. I'll do better than that. I think next time I'll make sure I mute people on entry. So
okay,
we won't have a problem.
We'll get better at it. So anyway, we thought we'd share it with all the Maine officials, give them the opportunity to see some of these presentations. Obviously, it's a PowerPoint presentation. The audio didn't come through. So Charlene Shepard did this one on rebounding coverage. She is from Connecticut, did a great job. So hopefully I can fill her shoes tonight and provide the support for the slides. So with that, we're going to talk about rebounding coverage. And we are going to have a series of these, by the way, starting tonight, and then next Thursday, TJ Halliday will be giving a presentation on block charge. And then the following Thursday, Jeff Jewett, who lives in Arizona now, used to be an interpreter in Maine, will be doing a presentation as well. And we're looking for one more volunteer to share with everyone, okay? So rebounding coverage. So tonight, we're going to review the aspects of rebounding coverage. We're going to provide some videos for you where you can spot proper rebounding coverage. Could the officials been in a better position on the court to improve their ability to rule correctly on a play? And also, at the same time, you can rule on your own on whether the contact was legal or illegal. We're going to talk about the critical aspects of coverage of the Crew 2. We won't get into Crew 3. A lot of it's the same. Matter of fact, Crew 3, it's easier than Crew 2, obviously, because we're splitting the court up into 3 PCAs. And then we're going to show the videos again, and we'll tell you what the experts think about the rulings and the position coverage. Okay, and when I say the experts, the co-coordinators of IABLE and others that had input into these videos. So with that, we'll talk a little bit about key terms and phrases. And then rather than take questions on this presentation, I provided my email on the last slide. You can send me a question via email. And over the next week or so, I'll answer it. We are going to, Bob King is recording this, so it is available for people that want to see it after the fact, or if you want to see it a second time, you're more than welcome. We're trying to provide as much information for education as we possibly can. So, rebounding. Rule 437, rebounding. An attempt by a player to secure possession of the ball following a try for goal. We know there's no player control or team control during rebounding. Every player is entitled to a spot on the court provided the player gets there first without illegally contacting an opponent. And this applies not just to rebounding, but throughout the game and the movement of players on the court. It's always wise to review the incidental contact rule when we talk about any contact, because it's easily forgotten. So Rule 27, Articles 2 and 3, worth touching on right now. Contact which may result when opponents are equally favorable positions to perform normal defense or offensive movements should not be considered illegal, even though they may be severe. Good example of that is a loose ball and 2 players, 1 offense, 1 defense, diving for the ball, collide big time, serious contact, but yet it would be considered incidental because neither player had favorable position. And also, too, we have contact which does not hinder the opponent from participating in a normal defensive or offensive movement should be considered incidental. And you'll hear the phrase freedom of movement quite often. Also, one of the phrases I like to use, did it affect speed, quickness, balance, or rhythm? If it didn't, it probably should be ruled incidental. So that's speed, quickness, balance, or rhythm. So rebounding. To obtain or maintain legal rebounding position, a player may not displace, charge, or push an opponent. Extend shoulders, hips, knees, or extend arms or elbows fully or partially in a position other than vertical so that freedom of movement of an opponent is hindered when the contact with the arms or elbows occurs. Bend his or her body in an abnormal position to hold or displace an opponent and violate the principles of verticality. And this one really comes into play in rebounding. So, rebounding coverage. Key phrase here, remain and read. And that's a term used to emphasize the necessity for each official to remain in position or move to improve in order to recognize and examine play development before moving in transition. This is one of our opportunities to improve that we feel. So let's get the ruling and the play right. You know, on these videos, two things, take a look at the contact. Is it incidental or illegal? Make your own decision on that. And slide by slide, you may want to jot it down because we will review them. And then are the officials in the best possible position to make a correct ruling? So make a judgment on that as well. There is no audio on these videos. Slide number 2. Okay, crew of two rebounding coverage. First, let's touch on the ABC principle. The principle is the three positions, basic positions in the lead along the end line, the A position being closest to the sideline, the B position being closed, what we call closed down towards the lane, and the C position, used both in crew of two and crew of three, is when we cross the lane as the lead to get a look at the matchups that we're responsible for. And if you can picture, in some cases, even a crew of two, you could have 8 players on one side of the lane, which is opposite from where you're standing in the B. So it is probably important to hustle over to the C position and look back through. That doesn't mean your PCA changes. It just means you've got a different look. So here we're going to talk about the looks. Right here we have a competitive matchup for rebounding, we can presume. Okay, we got the trail that's in its proper position here, about the 28-foot mark, working out onto the court a little bit. And then the lead here has an excellent view here of this matchup. He's maintaining what we call the V, with the official being the apex of the V between the offense and the defense, can look through to see if there's any contact. Okay. Now this is a situation where we've had a rotation prior to the lead went over to the C position, but as a result, something changed and now he's looking right at the offensive player, possibly a defensive player, but he's straight line. That's what we call straight lining. And he has no idea whether or not there's a hand in the back or if there's a rebound that takes place, whether or not there's push forward. So he'd only be guessing at that point. So this is where the teamwork comes in, right? If he gets pinched over there in the C position, right? This is a case where the trail can take over, especially if the ball is in the low post area. That's where the lead can help. But now the trail can move to improve to maintain a V between the players. So this be a situation where the trail would have the best look at this matchup. Ideally, in this case, the lead would have been over here for this, but we can't tell right now what's going on over here in this trail's PCA. So it could have been activity right there in the low post on that side of the lane. Now here's a situation where he's in the C as well. He's rotated, working ball side, and he's got a pretty good look at this matchup. Trail still has the PCA, but this may be the most important matchup that the lead has. There may be nothing going on this side of the lane. So that's the right call for him to be looking at these two players. Okay, and as they start to adjust, he continues to follow them. If they move around, now we're losing that good V, that look through. And the trail doesn't have a really good look either, because we don't know what's going on the perimeter either. But we must make an adjustment here, a position adjust, in order to get a good look at this rebounding action. Okay, now here we have a good look by the trail. So this is constantly a moving target for us in terms of who has the best look and who has responsibility. So a good team is going to constantly be switching off on this, just like defensive players switch to cover an offensive player. As officials, we need to switch and change our coverage depending on what's going on in the court, in the front court at the time. So yeah, here again, the trail still has a pretty good look, whereas the lead does not. Okay. So ball rotation mechanics, we talked a little bit about ABC. This is new in the manual this year, and they specifically call out if the closed down position of the B, when a try is attempted or a drive to the basket takes place, the lead side of the basket line, the lead should position adjust toward the sideline to increase his or her field of vision. Okay, so you're in the B position, and then we got a drive to the basket or a try. We should be moving back towards the sideline, closer to the A position, so we improve our field of vision, not only horizontally, but also vertically. And the rationale for this is to encourage lead officials to position adjust to get proper angles on the drives to the basket and get into a good position to observe rebounding action. Getting depth and adjusting toward the sidelines can increase an official's cone of vision and create a better view for the free throw lane area. Okay? And hopefully you saw some of this in the videos we just watched, some in the positive and maybe some in the negative. Okay, so there is in the manual, CRUA 2 and CRUA 3. All this information is in there. And this is a demo of that, how that should take place. Okay, if there's a drive to the lane on that side, on the trail side, anything in the lane or a try anywhere around the perimeter, this lead official should move from the B position out to closer to the sideline, maybe not all the way out to the A, but it's pretty flexible. You got to get the look what you think is best. So that would be the new thing, the new mechanic for this year. Now let's go back and look at some of those videos to see how we did. Slide 1. Okay, here we have the trail in a pretty good position to start. The home base is a 28-foot mark, right? He's out onto court a little bit, but he pretty much is stationary. He did not position adjust. I believe he got the ruling correct, okay? There was illegal contact on that rebound, but if he had taken the same approach that the coach took, maybe not quite as much, but look again on how the coach approaches it. See how the coach is moving down? I mean, he probably had a better look than the trail. He did get the call right, and he did a good job with his signals, right? The lead was in pretty good position as well. He was in a fairly deep, he was in the B position. He was off the court by 3 to 4 feet, which is recommended. So he was probably in a pretty good position as well, although he had players in front of him. So that contact was illegal, and the positioning of the officials was pretty good, but could have been better had the trail stepped down to improve, get a better look. Okay. Slide 2. Here we have a CRUA 2, okay? The first thing that I observed on this is we put the ball in play while the trail is still transitioning. They had a switch. Apparently the ball went out of bounds. The lead moved from one side of the lane to the other, so the trail had to come across court. Well, the ball was put in play while this official was still around top of the key, right? So you never want to have that happen. So I'm not sure about eye contact here, but there should have been better eye contact, and the lead certainly should have waited for the partner to be in position, right? So the question is, did we miss the first foul? That looks like some serious backing of player out. The white player had a position on the court and was displaced, but that's not the foul that was ruled, right? The coach probably thought it was a good boxing out situation. And as a result, now we get a foul on the white player, which was in fact illegal contact, causes, it had an effect on speed, quickness, balance, or rhythm of the player that ended up getting the rebound. But probably we should have had a foul before that. That was illegal contact. This is a crew of two as well, and we've got excellent position by the trail. This official is free throw line or below, and couldn't have been in much better position to rule on this contact. Okay, clearly this was illegal contact because it caused the white player to lose control of the ball. Okay, so the lead also in good position, 3 to 4 feet off the court, got a great horizontal field of vision on what's going on. No matchups at the time, so she kind of cheating over in this area, which is a good thing because it could have been a loose ball situation over in this area, but she's in great position too. But a nice job here by the trail being on top of that. I'm not sure how we missed this. Clearly there was contact there, illegal contact. The lead is in great position. Maybe you could make an argument that she should have been a little bit wider as the play started coming towards her. She was getting all the depth she really could on the end line. So her positioning was not that bad, and the play may have exploded on her in front of her, and maybe that's why, okay? But clearly should have been illegal contact. The trail is really disengaged on this play. You can see where she is. She's actually probably above the 28-foot mark. So this is really, at this point, a crew of one. It's all on the lead. Not that maybe we couldn't have had it anyway, but this was a situation where the trail did remain and read, but certainly could have moved down 10 or 15 feet to see to help the partner out there and get a little better look. So that's, from a positioning standpoint, that would be the issue here. But I think clearly to everyone watching, this would be illegal contact. The ball was given to the white team, but probably should have been another team foul put up on the board. So.
I have no clue what happened there.
Okay, so the foul that's ruled here is actually on the try rather than on rebounding action. But the positioning is important here. The trail is really disengaged with this. Let's run it again. He's about by the 28-foot mark. He's signaling, I think he's signaling a 3-point try there. As looked like stop clock, but anyway, but he's bailing out. He's bailing out on this, and now there's another try, and he has to recover and come. So by the time the play is over, he's just now getting back to the top of the key. But as a result, the lead ends up ruling a foul, and he's perfectly straight line. And this is probably, if there's any contact, it's incidental. And the verticality was outstanding by the defense, so shouldn't have been ruled a foul. But he was in fact straight line, so he was probably guessing on this and guessed wrong. But I think the biggest issue here is the trail not being engaged, because if the trail had been involved and down here, maybe the lead would have seen that and said, "Hey, look, he's not blowing his whistle. I'm not going to blow my whistle. He's right on top of it." Okay. So that's part of the teamwork that has to take place. So this was, if there was contact, this was incidental or legal. It would be interesting to know what the of the people on this call had for an opinion on that. And I'd like to have a tally, because this is kind of a case of which occurred first, the chicken or the egg.
Can't tell.
if you watch here, okay, there's actually two fouls that take place. Could be a case made for a double foul. We have the defensive player along the lane who immediately extends the arm and holds the offensive player. Okay, as a result, or maybe simultaneously, the offensive player has got a knee in the back and is pushing. And I'm guessing if this, in this case here, we had no foul, no illegal contact ruled. But if there had been one, I'm guessing it would have been on the offensive player for pushing in the back. But clearly, there's a hold there by the defense at the same time. So, from a positioning standpoint, we had both officials looking right at this, as far as I can tell. The lead was in good position. It's a good position on the free throw. Had a great look at it. The trail looks like they're looking right at it. She actually steps down, does a nice job of stepping down. We did have a violation on the defense stepping over the free throw line and probably missed it, but she was watching the players, but yet we didn't have a whistle on the illegal contact. But clearly, this should have been one way or the other, or maybe both. Maybe a case could be made for a double foul on that. This is a crew of 3, and we have some rebounding action with contact. This crew is in great position. They did an outstanding job. The center has a great look at this play. The lead has a great look at the play. And they chose to rule incidental. Now, what you got to ask yourself is, this number 35 in black, was her speed, quickness, balance, or rhythm affected by that contact? It was clear contact on the arm. But after the wash, she brought the ball down, she pivoted, and she made an outlet pass, had no effect on her performance or her freedom of movement. So a great job by this crew holding the whistle. Incidental contact. Yep. And you look, you can see the trail. The trail is actually even with the free throw line. So they are totally engaged on this play, this rebounding action. They did a great job on that.
Is this thing suck or what?
We have contact that occurred twice here by number 10 in white. So the officials are ruling incidental on both of them, apparently. There was no whistle. In pretty good position. The trail could have stepped down a little bit maybe, but he or she had a pretty good look. Okay, the lead was in pretty good position. Had a good look at it. So on the rebound part, the contact that occurred for the rebounding, you got to ask yourself, was the player able to bring the rebound down and put it back up without any effect of the contact? I'm thinking so. It was incidental. Okay. And then you get a rule on the secondary contact where there was a push in the back as she is shooting the ball. Okay. And she made the basket. We don't necessarily wait to see if the ball goes in the basket or not, but given the contact was fairly slight and didn't have a lot of impact. Now, if the rebounding contact had forced her underneath the basket, so it made her awkward, for her to go up and lay it against the backboard, then that's a different story. It should have been ruled illegal contact. Okay, clearly put that offensive player at a disadvantage. You know, speed, quickness, rhythm, and balance. Her balance was off because of the contact, possibly. In this case here, she made the basket and all is well. But that's what you have to rule on in these scenarios. But there was contact in two situations there. Now this is a crew of two, and I'm really not sure why this official is working ball side unless we missed the switch, or I really don't know, because we have two officials on the same side of the court. This lead official is in a great position to see what happened, and was looking right at it. So it's a question of what we're going to allow in this game tonight, apparently, because that was obvious to everyone in the gym, and only the white coach thought it was a good box out. So this is a problem all the way around. It was definitely illegal, and our definition talked about, bending and forming the body in such a way as to cause a problem for your opponent. And this was clearly the case. He got underneath that opponent and pushed him clearly out of the play. But no one seemed to. Everybody turned around and ran the other direction. So I guess all is well. But that's the kind of action that would lead to other problems later in the game. So that one clearly was illegal. But from a positioning standpoint, not sure why he's over in the ball side position as a lead. He probably should have been over in his normal B position for that. But in this case, wouldn't have made a difference because he was looking right at it anyway. The other thing I wanted to point out here is the trail is working out on the court, doing a good job working the arc, but we just get a glimpse of him a little bit here. He didn't swing back around, wrap back around as the try was put up. So that's the other thing. In the crew of two, you have to work the arc as the trail to make sure you're maintaining the V or the wedge between offense and defense. But once the try is up, you've got to swing around and get back to where your rebounding coverage is. He's quite a ways out on the court too, so it would take good hustle to do that. So, and this is our last one here. And there again, this is a crew of two. And this official did a great job of remaining or staying to help a partner out on that activity. Did not bail out. Good job on that. And that's one of those plays where it's kind of away from the ball in a way. This player came out of nowhere. And the lead probably was in pretty good position too, but did not have a ruling on that. So, but this official did a nice job as the trail. Good coverage, good stay and read, remain and read. That was a good job by her. So, okay. Okay, key terms and phrases for rebounding coverage. We talked about the ABC principle, the guide for lead positioning, right? That's something everybody needs to get good at. Basket line is a term we use, defined by the center of the court from basket to basket, imaginary line. It's how we define PCAs in many cases. Closing down is the trail. Closing down to get a better look at rebounding action. And it really shows that it's a crew of two, not a crew of one for that rebounding action and maybe a subsequent putback. So all those, there's a lot of reasons for staying. And part of the problem with that, I believe, is no one wants to get beaten in transition. Being ahead of the play is the best place to be, but that's not always possible. So you should think, why do I want to give up what's happening right now in front of me for what may or may not happen in transition? Many times the rebound is brought down and they bring it up slowly. Other times it's outlet pass and it gets held up around the division line. So the number of times that you get beaten, really, to give up all these potential rulings in the front court on rebounding and putbacks, it's just not good for the game. Move to improve, or position adjust. I guess we're using that phrase this year more. Move to improve. Each official must constantly be adjusting to shift to the most advantaged advantageous position within their PCA in order to be efficiently seeking the best angle and monitoring the play, maintaining the V. And all this information is in our manual. Our four coordinators of interpreters at the IABO international level done a great job. This manual has been improved tremendously over the last 4 or 5 years. Every year they make 50 to 100 changes in there just to make things clearer and to provide scenarios that people have asked about. So they're doing a great job with that. Okay, remain and read is another phrase. We talked a little bit about that on each of the slides. Remain and read, very important. Okay, a term used to emphasize the necessity for each official to remain in position in order to recognize and examine play as they develop before moving in transition. In some cases, not just remain, like in the very first video we saw, the trail official remained and he did a good job on the ruling, but he probably could have stepped forward. So not just remain, but even step down to get a better look, okay? And then weak side officiating, the center official is positioned on the opposite side of the basket line from the trail and lead. This is on the crew of 3, providing increased coverage for screening and rebounding. And then the term wrap back, we saw in one of those videos. When the trail is working the act, which you must do in a crew of 2 to maintain that good look through as the ball transitions to the other side of the court. Okay, once there's a try, once there's a pass that goes out of your PCA, you've got to wrap back and get down where you can help on the lane area if required. So wrap back is another term that we use. And of course, this is all in the glossary for in our manual, both crew 2 and crew 3. So the rule references that you want to go through: contact, guiding, rebounding, verticality, and types of common fouls. I will say this about that, types of common fouls. It kind of separates the wheat from the chaff when it comes to mechanics and signals on the court. If it's a block, let's give the block ruling signal, or a charge, or holding. Some officials have a favorite go-to signal, but if you're slow and deliberate on your spot of the foul signals and at the table, it gives you a chance to think, what really was that? Was that a block, or was it a hold, or was it a push? And we saw a couple of scenarios there in these videos where the wrong signal was given. But anyway, so that's something you can work on even if you've got 25 years in. So if you do have questions, okay, that's my email. Certainly send them to me. We're always looking to improve, add things, take away, whatever makes sense to the membership here. We're just trying to make everybody better officials, provide the information that will help you get to be better officials. So hopefully this kicked it off, the season for you in some way, to get the blood flowing again. Get out there and get in shape, get ready, get conditioned, and hopefully we'll send out another request for a meeting for next Thursday. TJ will be narrating. Actually, it's the block charge, I think, is the presentation he did give at Trumbull's seminar. So with that, we'll say good night, and hopefully it was worth your time. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thanks, Barry.
Thanks, Barry.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Barry.
Very well done.
Nice job, Barry.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Barry. Nice job.
Keep the mustache.
Good job, Barry.
Thank you.